everyone, it's Laura from Laura's Handcrafted Treats and Treasures. Welcome to or back to my channel. All right, we have Let's Decorate a Bag. I am going to be showing you what I used and talk about what I used for both of these bags. They came out super cute. I'm happy with them. Let's just jump right into it. So let's get started. All right, we are going to be doing 2 bags in this series. They measure 13 by 10. I get my bags from Hobby Lobby. They're always 50% off, 5 in a pack. I think it figures out to be about 50 cents a bag. I also got this last year from Hobby Lobby in their Christmas section. Obviously, I believe they were 50% off, and this is just a roll of wrapping paper. I often pick up wrapping paper in cute styles and colors because you can use them in crafting. These make great cards as well. All right. This came from some hymnals that we have and at church, and we have a lot of them, and we're just repurposing them. So instead of just tossing them or throwing them away, we're showing them some love. And then this came from a digital. I don't remember which one. This came from a digital. This was Carolyn's Musings. This is just a die cut that I have with the scallop edge. You could do this on a Cricut as well, or you could just cut a circle. And then I have some doilies. These were just in my stash, so that's what we're going to be putting together. All right, so I'm going to turn this way just so I can see the top of this. And we are going to start by making this as simple as possible. And I'm just going to be using Elmer's glue stick. You can use any glue stick that you want. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to bring this in and ink this over here because I'm just going to be inking my top edge first. I'm just going to be giving it a nice coat. Hopefully I'm in shot here. And I'm just going to give that a nice coat. And the reason why is because I don't want to glue it all down right now, because I want to kind of get it centered. And I find that this is the easiest way to do this. So I'm just going to do that and then turn it towards me. And it looks like it could come over this way a little bit more. And down a little bit more. How does it look? I'm happy. Okay, so then I'm just going to go ahead and just stick that right down. And then the rest of the gluing, I'm going to just do on the bag. And I'm going to try to get towards the edges. This will dry clear, so even if I go outside the lines, if I draw outside the lines, Mom, it's okay. It will dry clear. And I'm going to be generous around the edges. And then I can always go back and re-glue the edges. It's the middle part that I'm worried about. All right, so then I'm just going to start to smooth it this way so I can get all my bubbles out. And have a nice smooth front to my bag. Okay. So these are going to be so super cute. You know, you can't go into a store and find just a custom beautiful bag. And this is something you could always reuse, or the person that you gift it to, they can save it and reuse it. Just change out the tag and then they can reuse it. Okay, so now I'm going to put this just about here. But I think what I would like to do, and you don't have to do this, but I think I would like to ink. So I'm going to use some Vintage Photo. And let me just get that inked up real quick. Sometimes I search through Pinterest and I get an idea. There are some bags. I should put the ones that I've done on there. I have not copied completely, but used ideas of others, you know, and then you kind of tweak it and make it your own. But you just can't find a whole lot of them, so maybe I ought to put my creations on there. So, yep, I'm like that inked. I already inked this, so apparently I liked that ink too. So it's just as simple as, again, I'm just going to bring over my sheet here. And then this one, I think I'm just going to ink the whole thing. And I'm giving it some good ink. Okay, lift that up. Remember, that dries clear. I think I'll stand up for this so I can just see a little bit better what I'm doing here. Okay, and I'm just looking through my edges, kind of look, you know, even. Doesn't have to be perfect, but again, now we have that. And since there's ink on here, I'm going to take that off and start with a new one. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my banner, ink that. And of course, I had all my pieces cut and ready to go, but these weren't very hard to get together. So if you wanted to make a bunch of these, you could make a smaller version. You'll see that in my next little Let's Decorate a Bag. I have 2 smaller sizes. Yeah, it'd be great for little gifts, little Christmas parties. And if you're a boss and you want to give your employees a little gift, you know, you could just whip some of these up real quick. Not hard to do at all. Really, really that simple. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my card. I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to actually add that to the doily. It's not sticky over here. Okay. And I'm going to put the doily over here so it doesn't get all seep through the little holes. Kind of line it up. Got that on there. Now when I go to put the doily on here, I'm not going to be using my glue stick because it will just rip this glue stick to pieces. So I'm not going to use it on the edges. I'm just going to do it in the middle where I can just get that stick to go. Okay. These things like to roll around a lot. All right, so I'm going to get that where I want it. And I don't care that that's up, but if you do care that that's up, you can always take your ink or some art glitter glue, and maybe I will just go around it. And you can just start getting those parts down. If it doesn't bother you, leave as is. But now that I've started it, I might as well finish it. Oop. Okay. I think that's good enough. And of course, you could embellish these as much or as little as you like. If you're making something real fancy schmancy, you can add a lot more elements and detail to it. But I think for this one, and then you can decide, I think I want this over here, but I do want to elevate that. So I'm going to use my foam. And if you watched my last video, you know I like my foam and I use a lot of it. But I'm going to try not to be crazy. I'm just going to put, let's see. Can't help myself. 5, there's 7 going on here. Okay. Because I think that just gives it, you know, elevates it and makes it look really nice. All right, let's get those off of there. Okay, did I get them all? Yes, I did. And then just find the spot that you would like to place that. I think right there is good for me. Then I have this little punch here. You could use this, or you could just make a simple tag, which you just basically cut it to the size you want, snip off your ends. In fact, maybe that is exactly what I'll do instead of going through all of that. But if you have this cuts in a 2-inch, 2.5, and a 1 3/4, 1.5 in the middle. So I'm going to get my trimmer. Good grief. Slow down, girl. Slow down. I think I'm going to do 4 and I think 2. Then I'm going to take my little template here and I'm going to cut. And then I'll take a hole punch. Oh, not that one. I'll try the bigger one. No, that's not the one. Too many hole punches, apparently. Okay, I'm just gonna put a hole punch. And then here's where you can just get some binder twine. Oh my gosh, baker's twine. I was gonna say binder twine. And then just go ahead and you can put your little label to the back. If you don't want it to cover up the information, you can always cut that tag down smaller. I'll put it on this side. But there you go. There's bag number 1. Let's do bag number 2 and we'll show both of them at the end. Okay, let's get started with bag number 2. Let's go over a little bit of the material. All right, let's just start with the star. I got these from, I believe it was Hobby Lobby last year after Christmas, 50% off. I pick up on this stuff. And I just took a gold paint marker and painted it. This came from Amazon and it was this paper pack that was, they were 10.5 by, I'm sorry, 11 by 8.5. And the paper's great, but I didn't care for the, the shiny for stuff that I use. But it works perfectly for this because it's a little whimsical. So this is going to be fun. Then what you're going to want to do is some type of a chipboard or cardboard. I actually used file folders. And these are, you pick these up. People give them to me. I have found them at garage sales. Just pick them up because you never know when they're going to come in handy. So that's going to be our base. All right. And then I ran some brown through an embossing folder. That's going to be the trunk of the tree that we're going to be doing. And then I'm going to show you my actual little layout here. I don't have like exact measurements this way. If you think in terms for the way I did it, you'll have to do your own measurements if you do your own. But this basically, the way I sort of figured it was 7.5, 7, 6.5, 6, and work your way up. But they don't have to be exact because they're going to be cut off. Now, if you don't want them cut off and you want them to hang over your edges like this, then I would cut the exact measurements and then you'd have a nice little stacked tree. But that's not the way we're going to do this one. So I'm just going to put my pieces up here. And of course, I'm going to start with my longest piece first. My longest piece first at the bottom. There's some good English for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Let me move these over here out of the way. And honestly, I don't know where I got this idea. I think I might have seen a picture and I was like, oh, I think I can do something like that. Okay, and then just so you know, each of these pieces, they don't have to be 1 inch, but all of mine are 1 inch to make it easier from the kit. These pieces that I'm using came from a paper pad that I got from Michael's. And I really only used 1 sheet of each of those pads to make what I needed for the party, that the kit that we're making up for the party. So I cut each of them into one, but you could do 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. You know, you can make it as eclectic looking as you want. So I'm gonna start with my bottom piece. Now this time, well, I can still use the Elmer's glue. It'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to just start building my tree. Okay, and then I want to line this up perfect to the bottom. I want to make sure it's going over my edges here. Okay, and then I can always trim a little bit off the bottom or ink if I need to, but I'm just going to make sure that's glued down, and then make sure you're not gluing it to your paper that you have protecting your desk. So I'm going to bring my next color in, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that one down. So I'm probably going to speed this up and maybe flip through it. You will probably get the idea as I'm going along here. And it's really not that hard. So I'm just lining it up, gluing it down, picking it up so it doesn't stick to my paper. Darn, that glue is just giving me pains today. All right, let's go in with our next piece. And you have that when you're done. Okay, so you see how, like, if you put these like in, you know, the right measurements all the way down, I mean, it looks cute just like that. A little bit like a birthday cake, but it looks cute just like that. So what we're gonna do, and mine's not completely dry. I would normally let this just completely dry, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna follow the line of that tree that was our base. Okay, and now you end up with this. Now, I'm not worried about the tip of this because that's where the star comes in, and you're not going to see that anyway. Down at the bottom, I do have a little bit of that file folder showing, so I can either go just trim that off, or like I said, I could ink it, but I'm not really terribly bothered by it, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, let me get these sticky pieces out of the way. And I just cleaned my scissors, so that'll have to be done again. No, they're not too bad. Oh, and don't do that because I don't want you to cut yourself. I sillily do that. Okay, so we are going to go back to this, and we're going to do this exactly like we did the last one. I'm going to go ahead and grab my book here, and I'm going to start gluing, and you can obviously use either side. Don't have to turn it over. I'm going to go ahead. Goodness, these lids are terrible. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start my glue on the very top. Okay, a generous amount, and then I'm going to go ahead and stand up so I can just see what I'm doing. I'm going to lay this down, kind of get it where I want it. And that looks pretty good. Okay. And again, I'm just going to get that worked in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and continue to glue, but I'm just going to glue the actual paper. And with this glossy lining, it might take a little bit more, but so I'm going to be real generous with this stuff because I don't know if that gloss will stick. I'll let you know if I regretted it and it needed to go back and actually use glue. All right, so let me get this. I think we need more over here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start to smooth that out in one direction. And I think it's holding fine. It's just because I'm messing with it. But it is holding just fine. Now for the tree, I'm going to opt to use regular glue. And my stem is going to go about here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of line it up where I want it. And I think I'm going to put my stump in first. So I'm going to go ahead and get that glued. I'm getting to frame here. And then that way I can just slip that right there. I want mine right to the bottom of the paper. Then I can go ahead and glue my tree. This was fun. I mean, it might take you back to your school days, you know, gluing and pasting, which honestly, I loved. I loved anything art I could do, I would do. Never went on to do anything, you know, in college, but I loved art. Favorite class, favorite teacher. She was kooky and wacky and fun. And just definitely an artist, so I loved that class. Ceramics, art, whatever I could take in that class, I tried to take. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and line this to where the stump is in the middle. And I know it looks like it's like wonky to me, but I know it's not, but I think it's this. But I think this is fun. I think it's fun and whimsical. Look at this. How fun is that? Okay, and then for the tree, I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue. I have used this for wood before, for my tree. For my star, you could use Fabrifix, you could hot glue, but I am just going to use my art glitter glue, and I might have to hold that for a minute, but that's okay. And then, while that is getting secured, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that on it. I wanted to show you the tag. So the tag I made, I used a 2-inch, and then I ended up deciding I'm going to go ahead and use my punch because I have it, because then I don't have to go back and punch the hole. It's already done for me. So then you can measure each one of these out, but I was just in a hurry, so I just punched one end, went back and did, I think it was 3 inches. Oh no, it was 3.5. 3.5. And then I also used my chomper, small end, little trick for you. Oh, I guess I better get over here. I put a little piece of tape on that end, so I always knew which was the small end without having to look too hard. And then I'm going to take a piece of our baker's twine. This is also something I got from Hobby Lobby, and I want to say it was 50% off. It is a rarity that I buy anything that isn't on sale or has some sort of a discount. I just can't do it. My mother taught me to be a frugal person, and I figure if you spend money in one spot, especially for crafts, I have more to spend in another spot for crafts. So I'm going to go ahead and loop that through. And there you have it. You can go ahead and tie your to and from tag around it, if you don't have fiddly fingers like me. And there you go. And you have a cute little bag to gift someone. Okay, I'm going to bring the other one in, and then we'll see both of them together. And one more look at them. Here they are together. So this tag is a little bit long. I might put it to the back side, or might cut it just a little bit shorter. I don't want it to cover up this part. In hindsight, maybe I should have put this down a little bit further, but that's okay. It's fine. And there they are. All right, so I hope you join me for my next two. They are the smaller ones, and they are both going to be completely different as well. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. If you liked what you saw, you could hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.